Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. 2007 Honda Odyssey, customer complaint, timing belt. Let's jump right in it. We'll get the light, remove the top cover, obviously. Alright, did one additional step. I got my hood prop, fold the hood all the way back as far as it'll go. That clears all this up so you don't bang your head. In my case, I took the wheels off, racked the vehicle. I know a lot of you can't do that. Not everybody has it. I get some of these comments I've been getting here lately is like, well, you're on a lift and blah, blah, blah. I don't have a lift. I realize that. I realize not everybody has a lift. But I'm not going to do it on the ground because I have a lift. Anyway, moving on. Pull your power steering hose off, or at least I do. I put a plug in it. I got it pinched off on the other side. I'll put a plug, silicone plug over there. Undo my motor mount. As you can see, I got the engine hung. I mean, that kind of not that hard to see. Ooh, that dude's in there pretty good. Make sure. $17. Yeah, this has not been apart for some time. The owner told me that they've been running on luck. I think some 150,000 miles on a timing belt. Don't know how good an idea that is, but that's what we got. And there is a problem. It's a bad problem. That is not good. I got me an issue here with the bolt. That is just too tight. Nothing in the world I can do about it. What is that? That's most of the thread came out of it, so I mean, it is what it is. We'll have to figure out something. I'm gonna say the last shop that did a timing belt on it, whoever the guy was did it, is probably the one that didn't put no lube on the threads and just cross-threaded it and just muscled it in there. Yeah, I get clearance, so we gotta get it out. Yeah. 8 up. And we'll take the belt off next. That should be a 14. Where is my 14? There's my 14. Belt is good. Nothing wrong with the belt. 12 mil deep. Power steering pump. Move it over out of the way. Oh, can I get to that one? Not this. Let's move this out of the way. So 10 millimeter bolts around the timing cover, and we've got to remove the belt tensioner, 14 millimeter. $14 mil short. Jesus Christ, a mile long bolt. I don't know why Honda does it. Where are you? There's like 12 hidden down there. Yes, sir. But that one, I'm going to get that one later. I'm going to worry about my caps here. The one I can get now, I need to worry about it now. I'll show you, ladies and gentlemen, here in just a minute. I can't get the camera down here, so bear with me. For the love of God, bear with me. Matter of fact, I'm going to pause the camera up there. You don't need me going through a lot of battery. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how good you can see that. There is 5 screws, bolts, in each cover. Each side has to be removed. I think you can see that the timing belt is exposed. Now, that being said, we can loosen our engine mount bolts, 14 millimeter. So let me go ahead and get that done, and then we'll move on to the lower cover. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this one is important. There's 2 electrical clips, or there's a battery wire that runs here. There's 2 clips that are hooked right here. And if you're careful with this clip back here that holds the high pressure side on the AC, you bend it ever so slightly. You take it out, bend it ever so slightly over to the side. You can remove all 3 bolts without doing any of the other components. There is 1 bolt on this engine mount right there that is up in here, and your other part of the mount is right in its way. So we cannot get this apart. Move that camera. We cannot get it apart without taking it off. I've already broken it loose. Well, that should conclude that. Now, there is one, I think there's 1 bolt holding the plastic. Now this is all, yeah, that's it for here. And now it's time to move on down. Let me get everything off of here, and we'll move on down below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up is our damper. That's a Honda socket. To remove it, you have to have a big impact, and normally they come right out. Generally, we can wiggle, 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 and these things normally pop right back out. You don't want to force it. If you force it, they get hung up. But there's ever so slight differences between the Odysseys and the Pilot. Give you a little bit of a visual here of what I'm talking about. So that setup right over here with the oil filter and everything is slightly different on the Odyssey, but anyway, note the washer, how the cup goes outward. I'm not going to film that part because me and the camera are not going to fit in here. I don't think. I need to figure out a different way of doing this, but yeah, me and the camera, odds are we're not going to fit. I don't know if you can see this or not, but yeah, and that ain't going to work for me because you're riding away. But anyway, we got 10 mils to remove. Top, and one of the bolts is in your engine mount. Get you up here. There's a couple of more bolts that we got to take out right there. So I'm yelling in the camera, so sorry, it is what it is. Once you get the cover off, remove your two 10mm bolts for the chain tension, the belt tensioner, and that will expose our bolt. This set up here, like I said, there's ever so slight differences, so that needs to be kept in mind. Right there's a shim in case I'm not able to show that later. We'll put that shim back behind it, and there's your tensioner set up. We got all these parts in the kit, including the water pump, so we're going to be putting the water pump on this vehicle as well. So that being said, I'm about to drain the coolant out. So yeah, I'm not going to film that part. Obviously, I'm going to have to drain the coolant out. We're going to replace the coolant because the coolant is old. But other than that, right now, we need to be looking at lining it up. The timing mark is right up there. The key goes up. This thing was very close to time. And as long as everything is lined up, it doesn't matter where it's at right now because it's close enough that it's something you need to look at before you start tearing it apart. If it's too far out, you don't want to roll the engine. Or better yet, just set the timing before you ever take it apart. That would probably be the way to go. I knew this was close, so that's why I did it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look-see here. Just for you guys, I rolled it. There's TDC. If you look at the top, perfectly lined up. All right, so now we know that TDC is set and the lines up top are lining up as well. By the way, for those of you that knock on these Hondas, you know, but the engine's going down. This one right here, blind the crap out of you. This one right here, it's got a, let's see, it's got 290-something thousand miles on it, and it runs like a top. But it's been maintained. Pull the sleeve out of here and put a little bit of silicone lube on there, and put it back. All right, where were we at? Yeah, it was time to get a bite to eat, have a couple of beers with a buddy, so been like a couple hours. Oh, one of the things that I was going to say, if you happen to shop, not a sponsor, with O'Reilly and you buy the Import Direct kit, that is made by Gates. Those are Gates rollers. Those are, it's a Gates belt. Everything in the kit is Gates. In case you're wondering, and it's actually a little bit, well, quite a bit cheaper than the Gates. Anyhow, water pump. I'm going to remove the water pump. I'm not going to 10mm bolts, 10mm headed bolts. It is. Not going to video that part of it. You've seen where that stuff is at. Before we put any of the rollers back on, of course, we're going to have to do the water pump. So let's go ahead and do that next. And by the way, that all of that, I don't know when they did it. The customer may have been wrong because he told me it was 150,000 miles ago. And I mean, I would be surprised if that was the case because the belt is really not in a condition where I would say it has 150,000 miles on it, which is odd to have a belt go that long on a Honda. But anyway, the water pump is a Gates as well, so same thing. Again, let me go over there. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, Import Direct, they don't make this stuff. They sub it out, but right there it is. It's a Gates water pump. It's essentially the same thing than what's on it now. So, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I got a moderate amount of tension on the belt. And there's your timing marks. The rear one, because of the camera angle, it would be difficult to say, okay, this is lined up. There's no way to get the camera in an angle to where it shows that it is lined up. So that's not happening. So make sure that when you put the belt on, we're lined up there. I need to get back a little bit to cast a shadow there. But anyway, right there, we're lined up over here with the two triangles. When you put the bottom belt on, the tension goes this way, clockwise. You have to have that shield on or that belt can pop back off at any point in time. The belt tensioner is installed, however, you are going to want to put a screwdriver. I use a screwdriver. You can use the battery bolt and a little tool that holds that idler here in place for you, but I don't use it. I generally put a screwdriver in there very carefully. That is a polished surface, and then pull your pin, and that'll get that done. Of course, I still got to tighten up this bolt. I just stuck the assembly together for right now. We'll get these bolts tightened up. I hope you can see that. Put your screwdriver in there. I done pull the pin, makes it really easy. And then, of course, we're going to release. I'll help that out a little bit. All right, so everything is torqued on that one. Now our belt is tight. What I'm going to do is I'm rolling it forward, I'm rolling it backward. That's how I do it. I don't know what the book says to do, but that is how I do it. So let me get the camera moved over a little bit. Zeus! Let that compression bleed off. Don't try to go too fast. Be a hero. Alright, so there is, once again, top dead center. So now we're going to go the other way. I'm going to go real slow. Again, give that compression time to leak off of there. Go slightly past it and come back up. So right there is where we are. Let's go topside. So once again, I'm not going to take the camera off tripod, but our timing mark here is lined up, and that is the number 1. And then the timing mark in the rear, it is lined up as well. Just exactly where it was at in the first place, and that is the right place. Yeah, that is the one time where you go up and down with the vehicle, unless you're on the ground, of course. We've got to button the bottom up first. We'll have to get all that done, and we'll go back topside. Just reverse what we did earlier. So your 12mm bolt on the chain, on the belt tensioner. The belt tensioner, of course, itself got to be torqued back up. The cover is on with 7 bolts in it. Again, there is 7 on the bottom, 5 on each side on the top, for a grand total of 17 bolts for these covers. And the belt tensioner, you can do it from the top, you can do it from the bottom. It's easier from the bottom, really, than what it is on top. Really doesn't matter, though. Anyway, moving on. Most importantly, don't forget your washer, or, well, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it, and make sure the edges are rolled out. You know, here in this case here, we see a good dirt spot, and I generally try to clean this up to make sure there ain't no debris that can rub on that belt. Yeah. Just don't want there to be anything here that can get hung on the belt itself, so that one want to slip back on. Of course, now it's time to do the damper. Now I will link the torque spec on that in the video. Once I edit the video, you'll have to, if you want to torque it, you'll have to have a special tool. There's a socket for it. Hang on. You have to have one of these things right here to go on the... It goes in the hex on the inside. That's how you hold it in place so you can torque that bolt properly. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can see that. We got our covers back on. Put the wire. I clipped my wire back in there. I just bolted up the bracket. Now I'm going to clip this electrical wire back in those brackets. So relatively easy to clip all that back in. Get our AC line put back in the bracket right there. And all we need now is a power steering pump. We're going to have to go back with it. So that sits just like that. We got 2 bolts left over, and the bracket, the bolt that stripped out in the mount. What I did is I just used a longer bolt and put a nut behind it. You can easily get to it, not a problem at all. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna end the video right here. Like, subscribe, comments, you know where to put them, and we'll see you on the next one. I almost forgot. This is totally unacceptable. Got no juice. Had to put the maintainer on there for a minute. Like I said, that's almost completely unacceptable. You gotta hear it start anyway. Now, I'm not gonna leave this running. That thing ain't got no coolant in it. That's not the best thing in the world to do. The mechanical seal on the water pump don't like it too much when you run them dry for an extended period of time. A couple of seconds is not gonna hurt it. But literally a couple of seconds is really all you want it to do. You're gonna wanna do. Fill it up, but anyway, I figured I'd add that in there.